All right. Welcome everyone to the very first experimental We Are Trying Things Throwing Spaghetti at the Wall Anu podcast. I am apparently your host, Roei Eisenberg, founder and executive director of Anu. I am here with the person that none of us would be doing any of this without. Welcome, Jess. You want to introduce yourself?
So kind. I am Jessica. I was the Anu Comms co-chair until 5 minutes ago when Roy gave me a promotion. I don't really know what that means, but we truly did not think any of this would happen as we embarked on this journey over, like, what was it, like 8 months ago when we were trying to get on the.
Um, my Anu journey started, wow, a year ago. I was writing the platform. Okay, no, I started reading Zionist text so that I could write the platform. I wrote the platform the day it was due. Let's be honest with our
like a
audience.
like a proper
Um,
writer.
yeah, but I spent 2 weeks like just like diving into Zionist and Jewish text to be like, help me, my Zionist elders. Um, I mean, ancestors.
Both
Um,
elders as well, just not living.
really, Zionist elders. That's what we're going with. Yeah, this is good for the Jews. This podcast tagline, good for the Jews.
We are being very
Um,
veiled, I'm sorry.
but it's no, really, my journey started a year ago. I think you were recruited in September.
Yeah. Yeah, probably September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, thank you, AZM, for giving me an extension because technically I was supposed to be done August 15th, but my baby was born August 13th. So they decided to be kind. Thank you, Herbert. Shout out. Couldn't do any of this without you.
It's very nice that
Um,
they're nice to young parents.
I would say if they couldn't be nice to young parents, could we really be talking about the future of the Jewish people? You kind of need the kids for that.
Yeah, kids are the
Um,
future. Your baby is.
if only everyone was as understanding
Yes.
as the AZM has been about children. Um, oh man. So yeah, your journey is Jesus, September.
September, and
It
here we
hurts to think how long ago that was.
are. I mean, look, I don't know about you, but I do feel that this has changed my present, obviously, because we're so focused on it, but also the trajectory of my life. Which I guess is kind of the point of Anu. It is engaging people who have not been engaged. And what is that thing like? Once a mind is expanded by an idea, it could never return
Can
back to
never
its
contract again.
roots or contract or
If you're
something.
listening to us on Spotify and not watching a video, I had no gray hairs before September.
Is that true?
No, that's not true. I mean, that's what it feels like.
Well,
Now I kind of need to go look at pictures. Maybe it's expanded. I don't know.
well,
I'm
you know,
definitely.
like presidents before and after their terms. Like,
We haven't started our term, Jess. Like I don't want to picture my picture in 5 years from now. This will be all gray for sure. Um, at the rate we're going. But yeah, so long journey for you. Thank you for embarking on this road with me. Um, it's amazing. You couldn't tell by our rapport, but Jess and I did not know each other 8 months ago. And I would say even as far back as 4 months ago. I think we had only texted and sent some emails
no, and we've only met each other in person twice. Like truly,
twice
yeah,
in the last 2 weeks.
yeah.
Um, so
But you are continuously the first one on my WhatsApp and my like recent.
yes, we've now talked um, for I don't want to know how much. Like if my phone could track it, I wouldn't look. But that's right. But that's why you got the what is it called? Like the field promotion to campaign manager 2 minutes before we started recording.
Yes,
Because you have
without
been
informing anyone.
the nice thing about being founder and executive director, right? I have some executive privilege. We do rule by committee and democratically, but I think there's a few things that I can still do on my own. Um, Also, you're not paid, and I think the only thing I have to do legally is inform the board of anyone who's being paid.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, no one's
I
paid. It would
don't have
be.
any. I don't have any money to give you.
Could you imagine, like, for not? I mean, we can't. we can't talk about all of the stuff because confidentiality. But could you imagine if we were actually paid? Like all of the we have done so much as a small group of people with full-time jobs and lives and everything. I We could take over the world. That's really bad for Jews. I need to shut up. I'm really going to the troll.
I mean, what I would say is like, I don't know if this was paid. Like, I don't know that you could pay me enough to do what we've done. Like, I don't know what I would be willing to accept, but I can't even put the number because this has taken over my life. And I mean, I guess I can come up with large numbers, but I don't know who would pay us them. Because this has definitely taken over our lives in a way that none of us could have imagined
Yeah.
on March 10th, for sure. Um, while I was dying on my brother's couch in Israel, awaiting oral surgery. Yeah, none of us saw this coming. But I'm glad. I know one thing. May 4th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. We will all take everybody, and I can't name the names because there's so many people who have been just incredible in this journey, who have like just given so much of their time, their energy, their mental health,
Yeah.
sacrificed on the altars of the AZM and World Zionist Congress, um, that are going to be relieved, that are going to take multiple deep breaths. I mean, because of the confidentiality, we can't tell you why that's not exactly true, because the next phase of the election is going to come with its own stressors.
And even
And
if it didn't, there is still I saw my rabbi yesterday. I got Roei knows this, but I guess the world does not. I apart from the things that I do, I teach Hebrew school. And I saw my rabbi yesterday, and he was when I showed him our platform and did like our little spiel, he had said I had lost faith in the World Zionist Congress. Anu has given me back that hope. And I cried. Um, obviously. Thanks, Rob. Love my rabbi. He he's a great leader. But he was asking me like, "How's Anu going?" I've been getting some like weird emails about election fraud and stuff. And I had a little chat with him, like, "Yeah, I can't. There's a lot we can't talk about. There has been misconduct." And he was like, "Oh, but you know, you get to rest soon, even if there wasn't that misconduct." I think that something I didn't expect when I filled out a Google form in September was that no, this is a commitment that we are making not just for the next 5 years, but truly to carry with us as part of our lives. And we're talking about like what do we do after the elections? A lot of that has to do with what proposals are we writing? How are we preparing ourselves? There is so much more work to be done that we obviously like hope to have the opportunity to do it if we get seats and a concrete voice in the room. But I mean, it's like a positive and a negative in the sense like we're still not going to rest because to make the work that we've been doing in the past few months worth it, there's so much more work that we have to do after May 4th.
all right, but I'm making the executive decision that you have to rest for at least 24 hours. I think we've all earned that. 24 hours, you're not allowed to think about the World Zionist Congress. Um,
Wow.
which is actually a funny misdirect because, right, part of what we've been talking about, you and I specifically, and also some of the executive leadership, is yes, Anu is running in the World Zionist Congress election, and every vote that we get empowers us to be able to do more things in the national institutions, in the American Zionist movement. But the truth is that the work just started because that's one half of Anu's activities. What we have seen over the last few months is that people are looking for a space, for a community, for a movement, for, like you said with your rabbi, for something to still believe
Yeah.
in all the awfulness and cynicism of this world. They're looking for people who are standing up for something and creating a space for others to sit.
Yes.
And the other half of Anu's work, which will, the more votes we get, the more the second half of the work will launch successfully, right? That's the truth. Like,
Yeah.
if we can stand up and say, we got 10,000 votes, we got 15,000, we got 20,000 votes, then it's a lot easier for us to go to other organizations and say, we have a constituency.
Yes.
Anu is not just a party running in the World Zionist Congress. It is also a community engagement movement. It is a
Yeah.
container for the under-affiliated, for the under-engaged, for people who want to do more, who
Yeah.
want to be part of something and are not having that need met. So,
Yes.
yes, on May
I
4th, we break.
I when an hour ago Roei was like, we should do a podcast and just do it, put it out. I was like, Roei, that's such a like what? That's not what I expected to do with my day. Um, but I am now glad that we did because that is the message that we've tried to put out through our socials and through our newsletters. It's part of our key points. It's conversations that we have had in private about, yeah, after May 4th, this is our to-do list of things to talk about. But I think it's different to allow that kind of like opening the doors for other people to listen to that. Yeah, we are intentional about this being a movement. We have to continue past the elections, past the moment that most slates want you engaged, and not even just whenever someone is running for office, they want you engaged when it's voting season. Truthfully, if we want to do anything, we need people engaged all the time. And so much of what we're talking about, and when we're talking about messaging or how to get at the vote, it is not just this voting season. It is, we need people engaged all the time. We have to change the way that others view the World Zionist Congress. And that is not something you do in a few months. And that is also not something that you can do without power behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no question we're building the plane mid-flight. Jokes aside, the only reason we know that this platform exists is because I was interviewed on it like 3 hours ago for a podcast. And at the end, it was like, oh, do you want to make your own podcast? And I was like, Jess, I think we should do this. I didn't realize it would be so easy. I mean, it's funny because even as I'm saying this, I'm realizing, and this is like, we talk a lot about Zionism, the Zionist spirit, like the chalutzim, the pioneers, like talk about pioneering. Neither of us have ever done a podcast. We've never run one. I've never hosted one. We are figuring out this platform like literally as it is recording. And as I am saying this, I'm realizing we don't have a distribution channel. I need to sign up on Spotify and sign us up on YouTube so that after this conversation is recorded, we have a way to distribute it. But the important thing, and no, really one of the things that I've really learned, because people ask me all the time about like my leadership journey and what are the lessons, and a lot of the times I tell them like I didn't I didn't want to be a leader. I don't like I don't know if I've ever I think I've told you this story, Jess, but like when I said I didn't want to be a leader, like I was born with the name Roei, Resh Vav Ayin Yud, right? Meaning shepherd, leader, and I changed it as a 7-year old. I changed a letter, right? It's like this is the most like Jewish Kabbalah. Like I changed a letter because the meaning wasn't there for me. And I was like somebody who thought a lot and read a lot, even as a 7-year old. There are a lot of questions from my parents about why they let me be the way I am. But they let me change it because it didn't stick. And I think there's nothing more like you can't escape your fate than the fact that, especially like during a worldwide pandemic, because of my experience with disability, when the world was crumbling for everyone, I was like, oh, hi, welcome. I've been here for a while. My world's crumbled a long time ago. But you know what's good is I have techniques and I have ways and I can help you cope with this horrific time because I've been coping with this horrific isolation and being stuck at home and all of these things. And it wasn't that I wanted to lead so much as there was a vacuum and people needed somebody to step into it. And I did, and I haven't stopped, right? I say yes and yes and yes and yes. And now I'm making you say yes a lot. So I guess one, leadership is contagious. And two,
That's a nice tagline.
I like that one. Leadership is contagious. That could be for a series we do on leadership.
What
We're
you
workshopping the podcast as it's happening,
yeah,
building the plane mid-flight.
yes.
Uh,
Also giving Jessica more work mid.
yeah, again, I thought you've been used to this by now. I thought this is how it goes. Yeah, you have to like make like a graphic for this, don't you now? Write it down. Um, but yeah, I really none of like I if you had asked me a year ago, I wasn't even sure that we were submitting this platform to start this slate. Like somebody had to call me the day before it was due to be like, "You're gonna do it, right?" And I
Was
was
that
like, "Huh?"
Shoshana? Who was it?
It was Shoshana.
It was Shoshana.
It was Shoshana. I had several calls that day because it was funny. This idea came up on a bus after I was at the Jewish Agency for Israel's Board of Governor, and there's one guy who's on our slate, Gil, love him from Denver. When I did it, he called me. He goes, "You actually did it? I thought you were joking." and, and then obviously he was like, "Okay," and I'm on board. I'm like, "Yes."
It's like, yes,
Um,
Ramin is on this already.
I was like, "Oh, I might have already drafted you," uh, but. But yeah, there were so many people. There were like 20 people on that bus, and half of them were like, "You did this," and the other were like, "You good thing you did this."
And truly good thing you did. It's been a ride, but I feel like I mean I've definitely talked about this to you, and I've definitely talked about it to Tori, who is the reason I am here. Um, but there, I think everyone has certain themes that they gravitate to. And though I have also, like, being a leader is not something that has been important to me. If there's a job to be done, I do it. And if I don't think that something's working efficiently, I do it. That's just the way I work. But something that has always resonated with me is on Rosh Hashanah, we put a fish head on our plates because we recognize in our culture the need for leadership. And in the past few years, seeing leadership fail us has, God, it's so disheartening. And an opposition without leadership falls flat. And you see this happening in various countries. I think of Venezuela all the time. For those of you who don't know my lore, like I am Colombian. Venezuela is our neighboring country. I have family in Venezuela, and the opposition has struggled. It has existed, but it has struggled because it hasn't. I mean, one of the reasons. It's such a bigger issue that we can't unpack here because this is not a podcast about Venezuelan politics. But
Yet.
yet, yet. But one of the reasons that it's failed is the lack of unified consensus of a leader. And what does that leader inspire in us? And what do they do? Right now, actually, like Venezuela has, I think, the strongest opposition leadership that it has had. And I think there is hope because of that. But becoming then the slate coming in that can do good things, not just for the World Zionist Congress, but for Jews in general, and therefore truly the world. Like it is a space where Jews can come in and have some sort of impact. That has been very meaningful. This is such a silly way to put it, but like we are the fish on the plate.
Yeah, in Israel, on Rosh Hashanah, we actually always say like "Liot Rosh Hashanah," like to be like you don't know what you're going to be in this upcoming year, the head or the tail. None of us know. It's very much like part of our Yom Kippur, like days of awe, like reflection. But it's, you went to Venezuela, which I'm not going to pronounce like you do. But we can also talk about here at home in the United States, and also as an Israeli, like, what has the Israeli opposition done for anyone recently? Is a good question, and I will shout out from Hademokratim, Gilad Kariv and Naama Lazimi and Yair Golan, who are out in the streets with the hostage families, with the pro-democracy protesters. They are out in the streets. They are putting their bodies in harm's way. Like, they are being beaten up by Ben Gvir's police regularly. In the last month alone, all of them have faced police brutality. And the reaction from the rest of the opposition has been, oh, that's so terrible. We're so sorry for you. When you see in South Korea, you see in other countries around the world, the reaction of the opposition should be, you all show up. You put a line between the police and the protesters. Because, and I'm going to roll back to what I said about becoming a leader, because Elka Abramson would be very disappointed if I didn't mention that there is no leader. Leader isn't a noun. Leadership is a verb. You execute leadership. You do leadership. Nobody is a leader, because a leader in one moment is a follower in another.
Yes.
Right? Because when I'm listening to Rav Elka speak, I am not a leader in that moment. She is executing leadership and taking me. One of the greatest educators I know talks about education as taking the learner from point A to point B. So in that moment, she is executing leadership and I am a learner. And we're talking about the opposition. They need to execute leadership. They need to be in the streets. They need to, I don't know, be writing like 3 complaint letters a day to the area election committee about all of the shenanigans and the fraud. They need to be a Shoshana. Yeah, both biblically and contemporaneously.
You should explain who
Ooh,
Shoshana is, because we've mentioned
2 ESL learners trying to ask about English. Shoshana Leon is our fiercest of fighters.
It means light.
She is our board member. She is our number 2, literally on the slate. Anu would not have happened without her. And most importantly, people do not know this because her leadership does not ask for recognition. She executes leadership because it is required, and she shows up and she does the things that are needed to make the Jewish world better day after day. There are few people who I find as inspiring in Jewish leadership today as Shoshana, and she's going to be so upset that I said this when she hears this, but it is true. Because she does not want recognition, because she understands Maimonides' ladder of charity, but she deserves the accolades, if for no other reason, because Lord Hashem, thank you for her. Because what would the area election committee do without Shoshana? Who would do their investigations for them? They might actually have to work, and God knows they don't want to do that. He's listening. She's listening. They're listening.
They're all listening.
They're all listening. I'm sure the AEC has a bug in my house anyways.
They've had it. I need to make sure
They got to find the leakers, Jess. They got to find the leakers.
That is what is most important. Oh God.
Most important, not election fraud. Let's not get confused about the priorities of the election area committee.
Roei, what do you think?
Area election committee. We got way off topic because we're Jewish.
We also have these kind of conversations multiple times throughout the day, which is great because we're both writers, and I think it is a way for us to create like ideas and figure things out. You had what was that face? Roei made a face.
That was a thanks cat, because I just heard things go tumbling.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
I don't know. I'm gonna go to the other room and find things all over the floor.
Look. Nice. That'll be nice for a future you.
Yeah. No. Future Roe is gonna love it.
I completely.
You had a point.
I had a point.
About our lack of points? No, we have many points. We have many points.
We have many points.
Yes.
We absolutely always know what we're doing, but we
That
do
is accurate, actually.
this all the time. We talk all the time. But Roei, I'm curious, what do you think you've learned about like leadership and about creating something from scratch in these few months?
Are we going to talk about my regrets or no?
Like, I wish I was someone else, is what I mean.
I was like, yeah. It's like, is this therapy? Is this are we pivoting
No,
the
that would
podcast
require you
to,
paying me,
um,
and you'd have to tell the board.
and we can't afford that at the moment.
For therapy.
Look, I think, not I think, what I know, right, after a year of this is that this was necessary. Um, I wish somebody else had picked up the torch. No, very honestly, I am as angry as I am most days in the last few weeks, and you've been there for me, and so has many of the board and our incredible legal committee, and executive leadership. I've been very angry. It has been very frustrating with the fraud and the undermining of the integrity of the election. But if I am going to take a deep breath, right, a little inhale, a little exhale, and say that if we put that aside, if we put that in a container for 2 minutes, which is probably all I can handle anyways, before I get angry again, is bringing people together like this, building this big, beautiful tent that Anu is, right? Bringing people from the right, from the left, Orthodox, conservative. Oh, hell no, you don't call right now. You know who it is too.
Yes, I do.
Uh-uh.
And that's the it's recorded now.
Oh, that's fine. I didn't mention a name.
No, good job.
Uh, but we need another breath now. Oh no.
Oh my gosh, there
Yeah, you can hear him, right? You can hear him.
I can't hear
All
him.
right. I will not name you. Bringing so many people together. We've so many organizations, so many of these slates that we are running against,
Mhm.
talking about unity. They're talking about bringing people together. And I would challenge you to find people on their slates who actually think differently. Whereas our group chat is spicy. The Anu chat is difficult. The phone calls I receive from Slate members are difficult for me, because I have my opinions, and I've been active in this space for a long time. There are things that I think we should be doing, and yet I am executing leadership, and so I'm bringing them towards our shared values, and I am reminding them why not only are they in this fight, but why it's important that they're in this fight with us. Why, when the person on the right is mad at something a person on the left wrote in the chat, it's important that you're in there. And actually, I love when the people on the furthest end of the tent come at me, because I remind them that if you left, the tent would be smaller. And the person on the other side, all the way on the other side, the one you're literally shouting at in the WhatsApp, they wouldn't hear your idea.
Yeah.
So many people talk about breaking down silos. You break down silos when people who disagree are in the room. We call ourselves the slate of discourse, but we're so much more than that, because we're truly a slate that is showing what unity looks like. And unity, when done correctly, it's not comfortable and it's not easy. And we're also the slate of education, which is why I say the productive discomfort
Yeah.
is so critical to our mission. If people were so comfortable, then we would all be in ideological alignment and agreement. And then where would we be? Truly, I don't want to say all, but like, the Confucius says, a gem is polished through friction
Hmm.
and pressure. And I think what makes Anu so special, and why it's become so resonant, why so many people are resonating with what we're doing, in a truly grassroots, organic way, because we have no money. Uh,
We
so
have like
while
no
everybody else,
because we're self-funded too.
because
Like,
we're self-funded, yes,
yes.
yes,
Yeah.
because we are self-funded,
Yes.
and Jewish life is expensive enough. And, you know, people are coming to this place. They're seeing our content and they're sharing it. Not
Mm.
because we're asking them to, but because this is expressing what they're feeling in ways that they might not have been able to put into words.
Yeah.
Because we are sharing educational resources. Because when we say something, we are citing our resources, MLA style. And thank
The
you.
way it should be.
As it should be. God, Chicago, get out of here. But really, like, so many of the slates running against us, they're doing it because they're trying to divvy up that big old $1 billion allocation,
Mm.
because they have ideologically narrow, and some would, dare I say, corrupt aims to enrich their own people, to place their people in well-paying jobs, to pay their influencers, to create programs that fund themselves. That's not why we're in it. We're in it because we care about policy. We're in it because we want to liberate Jewish texts and knowledge. We're here because we're here because we know so many slates are going to talk to you about anti-Semitism and how they're going to stop anti-Semitism if you just give them enough money. As if we have not thrown enough money at anti-Semitism.
Yep.
We should try throwing money at anti-Semites. Maybe that'll help. But one thing history has shown us is that the greatest antidote to anti-Semitism is democracy.
Yes.
And liberal democracy specifically. And so Anu is proposing a Department of Democratic Values because it is by shoring up democracy, it is by training civil society to fight for democracy. I don't know, maybe show the Israeli opposition how it's done when your democracy is failing and you need to show up on the streets.
Mm.
You need to show up. You need to be an example for your people. You need to execute leadership.
Yes.
Every single day. Anu is going to be there. Anu means we. And it's not I, Roei Eisenberg, or you, Jess, who is going to get any of this done alone. It is together that we will make this difference. It is together that we execute leadership.
Yeah.
But Anu will be there to be that role model, to be that container, to be the engagement, to be the community builder. And you asked the question that I went off on many tangents for was,
Which is the
what
way
am I?
that Roy answers a question.
Correct. I am capable of giving concise, succinct answers, but just not when my brain is where my brain is at the moment. But truly, I am as muddy as we have gotten.
Mm.
Right? The Baal Shem Tov says that if you want to get a man out of the ditch, you need to get dirty.
Mm.
And so, as it turns out, in order to get the Jewish people out of the muck of the World Zionist Congress, we needed to get muddy.
As much as we, it wasn't even that long ago when we were having that conversation. I even, this conversation that we're currently having and like, oh, we have to put it on a platform and blah, blah, blah. These are things we would never have said a couple of months ago because we were under the impression that there are slates that are our allies and we want to build a coalition. But it's also become clear that we're going to have to be the ones to step up, not just for ourselves, but for the vision that we have. Anu isn't. I mean, I don't know what comes next, and I know Roy doesn't either. But it's not. It's not Roy leading. It's not me leading or anyone else. It is creating a vessel for leadership. It is so that in whatever amount of years, Roy and I cannot be in Anu, but there are people who are ethical leaders stepping up and sending the elevator back down. And that is what any any form of elected office. I mean, the Wilderness Congress, I don't know if I can call it an elected office because it's not, I don't know, it's elected some representation, but any form should be that. It's not a monarchy. You are electing people that should mean that it's available, that leadership is available for those who step up to it. But it hasn't been that way. So I think that people resonate with that too, because we're not saying it is not the populist answer of, if without me, you don't have a way forward. It is, we think we see a path. Join us in discovering that path. We're not asking you to do it alone. Like, we will be the first ones holding the flashlight and the machete going through the jungle. I don't know what metaphors I'm going for. Maybe Indiana Jones.
All of them.
Yes, all of them. But it is like, come with us. We intend to step back. Like, this is not gonna be our entire lives. We're not gonna lead you forever because we can't. There will be.
We won't do this again one more time. No.
I know.
No, but I mean, you've heard me say this, like, very realistically, like, I don't know that I want to be the executive director next time. Not in a bad way, because I hope that in 5 years, somebody else will step up and take that, and then I can be on the advisory board, or really, like, I can be on the slate somewhere lower down in case we build more power, and give other people a chance to take the reins. That's what this is for. I got this question, I think, in one of the debates of like, oh, well, are you like a one Congress party? That's absolutely not. We're building a Zionist movement. I hope this outlives me. It better outlive me for all the pain that we've gone through and all the things that I've missed. I mean, I missed most of the first month of my child's life for this.
Yeah.
That sacrifice better not be for nothing or for 5 years. That's not, I'm not going to forget it for the rest of my life. Luckily, he doesn't remember. My wife probably won't forget it either. But the truth is we're doing this, I knew I was going to put out at least one book.
Okay.
Right? But like, this book is the book itself is, I think it was published in the 50s or 60s.
Say the title of the people aren't
The
watching.
Zionist Idea by Arthur Hertzberg, the most important Zionist text that anyone can have in their library, on their bookshelf, or if you're me, on your desk at all times so that you can pull it up in videos. And he has an 80-page forward. Okay, so if you want to know what an introduction should not look like, that's 80 pages. But the truth is, why is the introduction so important? Because he is giving you an anthology of Zionist thought up until that time. So like 100 years of Zionist thought. And why does he need such a long intro? Because he's trying to weave the narrative of this beautiful Zionist movement, right? From proto-Zionist Moses Hess to the Zionists of his day, to Ben Gurion and the people who Horst Callen, like all these incredible thinkers. I mean, it'd be nice if there were women in there, but Emma Lazarus exists, Muriel Rukeyser was there. It's fine. Just like one of the pioneers of the LGBT movement. It's fine. We could maybe have included her in this book, but it was a different time. But here we are, and we are executing leadership differently, right? I think the majority of our slate leadership is women. So when they tell,
absolutely,
that sounds right. When they tell the story of Anu, it is not my story in any way, shape, or form, because I wouldn't be here, right? Like when you said, it was like, who was the call to make sure I did this? It was Shoshana, who made sure that we have a podcast and a social media and, everything else that we do to communicate with voters. It's you. It's not me.
I can't take credit for this podcast. You maybe 2 hours ago said that we should do this. So
I mean, yeah, but if you didn't join, then I would just be talking to myself, and nobody would enjoy that. So
we don't know that they're going to enjoy this. Let's be frank.
How could they not? Is this wait, now I have to be like a serious podcast? Let's be like, please leave us a review on Spotify, YouTube, and don't
Oh
forget to
God,
leave a comment.
please don't leave us a review.
You're right. Just 5 stars. Just 5 stars and 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 a confirmation that we inspired you to vote in the World Zionist Congress election at zionistelection.org. Ideally, vote number 6, Anu, but like I say way too much of the day because we're the only party that seems to care about voter turnout, even if it hurts us, is the most important thing is you vote. You can go on the website, you can read all the platforms. They're lying to you. But um,
Read them and use your
but
critical.
you should read them and see that they're lies. And then you can read ours and know that it was that was it was really hard to write because to find something that is both straightforward enough and expansive enough that it will be the tent pole, right? For this big tent
Yeah.
was not easy to do, especially because like I said, like I have so many ideas about what the Jewish world should look like, but Anu is not me, and it was never just about me. It was about creating a space for the people who felt like they didn't have one. And to create that home was a labor of love and also an exercise in taking steps back from who I am.
Mm.
It was allowing my leadership journey to inform what we needed, not my ideological or political journey, right? Even though this is a political election, that some people are pretending it isn't when they say that they're nonpartisan.
Like, no, sweetheart.
Um, yeah, it's like, no, you're in an election. We're all partisans. It's just some of us are actually the big tents we say we are.
Yeah.
And we'll also say like we are continuing in the proud tradition of liberal Zionism. Not necessarily political Zionism, because I got some I got some disagreements with Herzl there, um, and Ben Gurion and Weizmann and a few others. But we are proud to be this part of a long tradition of liberal Zionism, um, and so we are partisan about it. We believe in democracy. That's not true of all of the slates, right? Like
Yeah.
if you believe that we should be annexing the West Bank without providing, I don't know, civil and voting rights to the millions of non-Jewish people in them, then you cannot realistically tell me you're for democracy. I mean, sorry. As we've learned in this election, you can say a lot of things.
I also
I don't have to believe you.
I don't think that people, I mean, to that end, something that you set out to do with Anu that I think was well done is, and I know this because I wrote the points around it. Like, we are diverse professionals, so which is needed when you're self-funded because you need people that will know how to do certain things without looking into how to pay for them. But we have people that are lawyers and policy experts and journalists and educators, climate activists. You have people that describe themselves as democracy advocates. We are a group of people that is prepared, and part of being a big tent isn't just the political disagreements, but it's what is a different way to do this thing. And I have a different strategy than someone who is a lawyer, because I am primarily a writer and a communicator. Other slates, maybe they have that within them and aren't leading with it, but they're mostly people who have come into the public space because of their platform and not because of their credentials. So, how do they know that they are standing up for democracy if they don't know what that entails? And that is not just that is irresponsible of them, but that's also irresponsible of their leadership because they're throwing people out there, not giving them the tools that they need to talk about this. And maybe I'm going off a little bit, but I like will say that's something that we recognized was really important, and also that I did because I didn't know anything about the World Zionist Congress, is we need to make sure that our people within the slate are aligned in what we're talking about and know how to talk about these things and understand what the World Science Congress is, what our scope is, the things that we can do, so that they feel motivated to participate because they need to be an expert in this too. And I just don't think every slate is doing that.
We don't have to name names.
No, I'm not gonna name names because
But if you're on Instagram, you can probably figure it out. Oh, well, first of all, should we pivot to our segment? What's the worst thing on my WhatsApp right now? Because I did get a message from you know who.
Oh my gosh. Are we allowed to do that? I'm gonna get so
Oh, I
much
don't know. Do we want to? No, no.
No.
That'll be for the future episodes. We gotta leave them. You gotta leave them wanting more, right?
Wanting more.
Isn't that what Hollywood teaches you?
Yes, just leave a cliffhanger.
Yeah. So with that, I guess maybe we'll say thank you for listening. Thank you, Jess, for putting up with my crazy ways and going along with an idea like, hey, join this link. We're doing a podcast.
No.
So thank you for putting up with me and for everything that you've done for Anu. Any final words before we close this out?
No, because I didn't really know what words to start with, but thank you for, just it has not been boring.
Oh no, is that the
It
tagline?
has not been boring. Yes, we're changing everything. We're not a new union. We are Anu, not boring.
Not boring.
Not boring. No, it's what I would say to everyone is it's confusing. Roei was on a podcast today and people were asking him what is it? What do we do? Why are the things this way? And I think that they seemed really excited to be learning. It's been opaque on purpose, and I am disappointed in a lot of techniques that these slates have used. When I was kind of creating a comms strategy, like say that loosely because we've again building the airplane midair. I realized that there is no education. They are just trying to sell you something without offering anything, and they are underestimating you. They're underestimating the voter, and you don't deserve that. So when you are seeing slates speak to you, make sure that they're respecting your intelligence. Make sure that they're respecting your vote and put it where you think will align the best with your values. The end.
Beautiful. I have nothing else to add except to repeat that you should educate yourself. You should look at what they say, and then you should go to zionistelection.org and vote however you want. But if you choose to vote for Anu, then we are number 6, Anu, a new union. I'm going to thank you again, like I thank you all the time, Jess. I am so appreciative of your efforts. I want to thank you for listening, and we will be back soon. So
I guess we will be.
Thank you.